Is there anything stand out to you from the game that you maybe didn't know about the team beforehand that you guys need to work on?
Well, they've been getting better through 3 weeks of practice, and I thought what we saw in the exhibition game was some of the same things. The first half, not so good. There wasn't a lot of good that came out of the first half outside of the first about 8 minutes of the game. And then the last 12, you saw a lot of anxiousness, a lot of nerves, and that's what happens. That's why, you struggle as a coach whether you want to play 2 exhibition games, an exhibition game and a scrimmage. I think we'll get an awful lot out of the scrimmage coming up, obviously, but those exhibition games are pretty pivotal because you get the live ambiance, you get everything what a game looks like, and I think that really helped our young guys because you saw them very anxious in the first half and things got a little bit better for them in the second half. So hopefully each time they're in here, and that's where we're going to make it even as game-like as we can this weekend, because I think they need it. But I thought we saw a second half that was better than the first half, both offensively and defensively. We had 9 turnovers in the first half, 3 in the second. There were a lot better play, I think, in the second half. So that's kind of what this team's been, and that's always a good trend, that you can see how you did things wrong and now get better. And we did that within the game, I thought.
Who are you going to have in here for the close scrimmage?
I don't know if I don't think I can.
Not permitted?
Yeah, I guess I'm not permitted. I'm getting the head shake.
What did you think of how Isaac did, even considering some of those first games?
Yeah, and that's, I thought he improved, and he's been terrific since then in the practice that we had yesterday, and he got in and watched taped, and this is all new for him, not just playing. He hadn't played his last, and people kind of forget that, his last game in front of anybody was about 18 months ago. His last game in high school was the last time he got to play in front of anybody. So I thought he was very anxious, and yet I thought he played hard. He did a lot of good things, and he took care of the basketball. It wasn't because of, he didn't all of a sudden have a 5 turnover game. He valued the ball, he valued the possession, and he'll score. I don't think we're worried about his scoring. I think his scoring will come as he's just trying to learn not just the off-guard position, he's trying to learn the point guard position as well.
What positives can you take from the scrimmage on Friday night or the exhibition game?
Well, I thought what we did a really good job of, we got to the free throw line for an inexperienced team. To our offense, though, we didn't shoot the ball at a high rate. It wasn't one of our better shooting nights, but we were able to get to the free throw line. We went into halftime with a deficit assists to turnovers. We had 5 assists, 9 turnovers. And yet by the time the game was over, we had more assists than turnovers. And last year we were one of the better teams in the country with that. I think we averaged like 17.5 assists, about 10 turnovers. So we're nowhere near that yet, but I liked how they saw what happened in the first half and then what they did in the second half. There was an improvement in a lot of play. I thought our defense improved. Probably the consistent of the concern that can be misleading because they took so many more shots than we did is the backboard. We gave up 20 offensive rebounds, so we obviously can't do that. And we've really started to focus on that this week. But I think we got a chance to be a pretty good rebounding team.
How did the true freshmen play?
Well, I like what all the freshmen are doing, especially in practice. The exhibition game, was something that Kavan hit the thing rolling right away. Thomas and Gigi, the second time they were in, they were much, much better. And I think you're going to see that. I can remember watching tape. I was at home this weekend. I watched tape for like the second or third time, and you find more and more the more you watch it. And Thomas had missed a couple shots, and in the second half he makes a shot right at the free throw line, and he's really no emotion, and he makes it, and he's just fist pumping all the way down the court. And it's like, sometimes you forget he's an LA guy, first basket in Pauley Pavilion. That means something, and that's what you want. You want players to feel that. So the anxiousness, the nerves, that'll take care of itself as we play more and more games, and I think you'll see the freshmen really come into their own.
What do you think of Juana and Noah's performance?
Well, I really liked what they did, especially the second time they were in. And again, when you look at it, Juana and Noah are in different roles. Even Bryce, Norman, and Tony, who I thought all 3 of them played really well, all 3 of those guys are in new roles. Bryce in a starting point guard role, Tony in a starting center role. Norman now isn't that third option or maybe fourth option. He's the first option. So those guys have different roles this year so that's going to take them some time. Same thing with Juana and Noah. These are guys that really, for the most part of last season, were not in the rotation, and now they're in the rotation. So they've got to learn what's expected of them. and I think we saw that. Like the first half, Juana, probably took 1-2 ill-advised tough shots from the perimeter and got away from doing what he really needs to do: run the floor, defend, rebound. Second half, he did a much better job of that. And then Noah, got us 6 points off the bench in 15 minutes. And bench production is going to be something we've got to watch, because last year we had Tony and Zach and Bryce coming off our bench. Momentum kind of went up. Scoring was up. We got 22 points off our bench last year. I don't know if we're going to get 22 points off our bench this year. And yet Noah is one of those guys that can provide some offense for us.
What did Norman do to assert himself, to be aggressive, to be that point?
We shot 10 free throws in about 26, 27 minutes of playing time. So that was the most encouraging thing I saw from the offensive end for Norman. And he made them all. I think he was 10 for 10, 9 for 10. It might have been 10 for 10.
I think
But
he was 10.
yeah, I think he was 10 for 10 at the free throw line. So that tells me his concentration level. That tells me in 25, 26 minutes you can get there 10 times, how aggressive you're being. And he still got 10 or 11 shots off on top of the free throws. So very, very aggressive. And I thought defensively, I wasn't happy with probably any of them. So that's something that's part of his role. He's going to have to be one of our top defenders in the backcourt, and he's going to have to be one of our leading scorers. So that's different from last year, where we were really just asking him to be the top-notch defender, and you could still be the third or fourth leading scorer. That role's changing too for him, so he's got to adjust to that.
What were the issues defensively that you didn't like?
We were out of stance a lot. We spend vast majority of our foundation is jumping to the ball. We didn't jump to the ball very well. We were very man-oriented, and we're not a man-oriented defense. Whether we're in zone or whether we're in man, it's all predicated on help and recover. And I didn't like how we helped. I didn't like how we recovered. It was, and that affected our board play. If you watch the tape, the ball went up and we all kind of went to the rim. And so we told the only balls you're rebounding are the ones that go in. I don't need the balls that go in rebounded. So it's a matter of you help and then you recover to your man. And we'll spend all week working on that as we go into the scrimmage on Saturday. I'm hoping I see a lot of improvement there, because we're going to mix defenses, because it's going to be, the bench will be something that's developed throughout the year, but those starters are going to log a lot of minutes. So to do that with foul trouble and everything else, we've got to be able to mix defenses to kind of keep teams off balance and keep a lot of our guys out of foul trouble.
Was there any one player's defense that you were at least halfway happy with along those lines?
No, I don't think there was. I can't single one out that I'm happy with yet. So, and they know that. We had 45 minutes of tape yesterday, and we'll have another 30 minutes before we start practice here today. But it's not that it's an uneasy feeling. It's just it's part of teaching here in early November. We know we're not going to be perfect. I didn't like how we moved after we passed the basketball offensively, and that was pretty much top to bottom. We stood and watched a lot offensively, so we got stagnant offensively. On the other side, I thought we were way too man-oriented instead of being help-oriented and getting into our help and recover mode. So, but I don't think there's one guy that I can single out and say, he's out of the realm of playing defense the way we want it played yet.
Norman was saying that you guys are quiet defensively.
Very, and that's something that's got to change. And it just doesn't affect your defense; it affects your offense as well. We've got to become a more talkative team, and we got a lot of personalities like that are just pretty quiet team, and that's why I can only ask so much out of certain of them as they learn their new roles. So I get that they're either a high school individual coming in and learning what college is about, or you're one of these 5 guys that were here last year, and now you got new roles, and you're trying your best to learn this new role. So I'm hoping that talking comes as they get a little bit more comfortable with what their new role is.
Are exhibition games useful for you as a coach, kind of just learning how to use different rotations?
Very. Now this one was tough because you're not playing anybody over 6'5". So I've got to look at, especially Thomas and Tony. They're not going to guard 6'5" centers. That's not going to happen probably the rest of the year. So we know we're playing kind of 5 out. Had to guard way out on the court and had to help their driving game. But it was a team that came in here and played really hard against us and well coached. And put a lot of pressure on us because they drove it hard and they played man really 40 minutes of the game. So I think that helped us. It gives us a lot of tape that's not against one another. Like after you get about 3 weeks in and the guys have just done going against one another, the tape you're showing them, they're just sitting there going, I saw this 3 weeks ago. You know, it's Bryce and Isaac versus David and Corey, or whoever they're playing against. So they get to see that so much that the teaching gets hard. Now we've got a whole week here of showing them different clips of them playing against somebody else, and I think that really helps them see it when they get to go against somebody else.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank